Something strange is happening to people's faces. In the America today, Botox has become so common that a treatment is performed roughly every 4 seconds. In 2022 alone, doctors performed 7.4 Botox injections, 3.4 dermal filler treatments in the US. That's over 10 million procedures in a single year. But here's a strange part. A growing number of casting directors say the same treatments designed to be making people's faces look better may actually be making them harder to watch on screen because faces that can't move fully can't have express emotion. And now, in a strange twist, Hollywood is starting to push back. The industry that helped popularize the perfect face is now quietly asking for something radical again, faces that actually move. So how did we get there, and why might the frozen face era be ended? I know that when I scroll through TikTok and social media, it is rare to see people with like lines around their faces. But I feel like I'm the only person in the beauty industry who has not gotten any injectables done. And I feel like that makes me an anomaly. And I feel like having lines on my face in the beauty industry makes me strange. And it's so weird for me because I've spent so many years of my life, like decades, like 15, 20 years, trying to accept my acne and my acne scars and my skin. And I have a choice right now. Like I've gone through so much acceptance of my skin and the flaws and the textures and the irregularities that make human skin human, that now I'm like, do I accept having lines on my face or not? And right now I'm in this camp of accepting it and doing treatments at home, like microneedling at home and just, my skincare. But it does feel weird to be in this industry and have lines on my face. So I feel like I want to speak about this whole phenomenon, this frozen face era. So before, faces used to be the performance, before fillers, before injectables, before digital smoothing. Now, people on TikTok and people on social media do not even look like themselves. I've shared my story of where I went to this conference, and I actually didn't even recognize the panelist on the conference because she looked significantly older than she did on TikTok, which there's nothing wrong with looking older, but the fact that I followed her religiously and I actually didn't know who she was until she started talking made me realize that, whoa, we are all manipulated by social media and nobody looks what they look like. So people are not used to seeing lines and texture and things on faces. So whenever they see like a line or something, they're like, oh my God, I have to get rid of it, right? So for actors, faces used to be the performance, right? And if you watch classic films closely, you can see different facial expressions, like the tightening of someone's jaws and the crinkles around someone's eyes and the hesitation before the smile, like even the laugh lines, right? These tiny movements are called micro expressions, and psychologists say humans are wired to read them instinctively. It's how we detect sincerity, fear, attraction, trust. In fact, studies show that people can read emotional expressions in less than 1/5 of a second. Oh my gosh. So most of film history, acting depended entirely on that subtle movement. The camera was simply capturing a human face, thinking and feeling in real time. If you guys haven't seen Hamnet, oh my God, you guys, Hamnet, Best Picture of the Year, Jessica Buckley. If she does not win Best Actress, something is wrong with the system. But she did such an amazing job of acting. And she also has lines and expressions on her face. I think we're about the same age. And the lines on her face make her acting so stellar. Like without those expressions, it would never be as good of a performance, right? And so now Hollywood is looking to find people who have those expressions. So let's talk about the rise of the frozen faces, like what has happened. In the last 2 decades, something has changed. Injectables exploded in popularity, and Botox works temporarily by paralyzing facial muscles. Fillers add volumes underneath the skin. Used carefully, they can enhance features, but over time, and especially with repeated movements, they can limit facial movement. And I say this over and over again. When you freeze something, other things compensate for it. It's not as easy as people think. And, it could just kind of alter the structure and how your muscles move organically, right? But with over time, and especially with repeated treatments, they can limit your facial movement. And researchers have documented this effect. So a study published in JAMA Dermatology found that Botox injections in key facial muscles reduce people's ability to express emotions like surprise and anger. Like we've all seen that Kim Kardashian clip where she's crying, but her face is not moving.
My earring's gone! you
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. My diamond earring.
Hold on.
Seriously. My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone. Kim, there's people that are dying.
In other words, the muscles responsible for wrinkles are often the same muscles responsible for expression. But the story isn't just the procedures, it's the business behind them. So I was always wondering, how did we get here? Like, why is it that everyone has like a frozen face? Like, there's something behind this, right? The beauty standard had changed. And I want to tell you a very particular story. This is 20 years ago. I was at Fashion Island, Newport Beach, and I was at a coffee shop there. And there was a lot of middle-aged, like 50, 60-year-old Caucasian men wearing like business suits. And they were basically part of a pharmaceutical company. And this was, I believe, before Botox became very popular. And they had this new injectable. And basically, they were just trying to figure out how to make it where once you start injecting it, you cannot stop. And they kept saying, yeah, my wife would do this, my wife would do that. The whole business model was, how can we make this injectable like give somebody an instant result, but then also wear off fast enough where they have to keep going back and be addicted to treating their face whenever there was movement. So I feel like that when they were talking about that 20 years ago, that is like the business model for fillers or whatever now. This is why personally I have never done it, because I am so like anti like these old men trying to make women insecure and trying to get them to spend, $500 every few months, or I don't know how much it is, 1,000, 2,000, I don't know, like, a few $1,000s every few months to make them have a frozen face, because businesses and big pharma and big businesses think that, frozen faces and women without facial features or facial expressions, women who have emotions are like crazy, like women shouldn't be allowed to express their emotions. Like for me, it's something very much deeper than like not having lines on my face. It is all about like control. And that's, what it is. So let's talk about the med spa explosion. So over the last decade, cosmetic injectables have become a massive industry. Can you believe it? Like 20 years ago, people's faces still moved and they still had lines on their faces. In 2010, the United States had roughly 1,600 med spas. Today, there are more than 10,000. Okay. So the industry's revenue has also skyrocketed, 5.4 billion in 2017, 15 billion in 2022, projected to exceed 25 billion by 2028. And according to the American Med Spa Association, the average med spa generates about 1.4 million per year. And nearly half of that revenue comes from Botox and fillers alone. A syringe of filler that costs a clinic around $200 to $300 wholesale may be sold to patients for $700 to $1,200. Okay, so it's about like $1,000. Comment how much it costs you to get injectables, because I have no idea. Botox treatments that cost clinics roughly $100 to $150 per vial often generate $400 to $800 per patient visit. And unlike many cosmetic treatments, injectables require constant maintenance. And so I think the biggest thing when I remember those like old men at the coffee shop talking about, they were saying, how can we get women to repeat buy? Because that's like the hardest thing. You guys know in my business, like repeat customers are really important. And the way to get them to repeat buy is to make the filler look really good when you apply it, but then have it metabolize really quickly, right? So that we have to keep getting touched up. So Botox typically lasts about 3 to 4 months, which means, the customers keep coming 3 to 4 times a year. And this repeat treatment model is one of the reasons private equity firms have invested heavily in aesthetic clinics. Because from a business perspective, injectables are the best product. Okay. So you guys know that I run a business. I've had my business for over 14 years. So we're talking for injectables, high margins, repeat customers, fast treatment, scalable locations, right? And, private equity are there to make as much money for anything. And I'm not even going to go into what private equity does to hospitals and schools and our food and everything. But yeah, beauty standards then start shifting to support the business. So it's basically private equity and these like business people who decided to change the beauty standard to make women have frozen faces all the time because...
Did you bring any Botox?
I didn't bring the Botox. I brought my cousin Eddie.
Nice to meet you, Eddie.
Is this a Halloween party? Are you kidding me right now? You got a little more work done, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit, just a tweak.
God forbid if you have lines like I do. Okay. So now we go through social media and there's so many social media influencers who look like Kim Kardashian and I cannot keep them straight. I'm sorry. So they all have like smooth foreheads, right? Because they have no lines on their foreheads. They have high cheekbones, right? You can get lifted here. You got the big juicy lips. I feel like you guys, when I was little, I hated my lips because I thought they were way too big. Like I had the biggest lips in my class, but now I feel like they're too small because everyone has big lips now, right? So different people, different races, but they all kind of look the same. And derms even call this an Instagram face. It is a beauty standard optimized for photographs, but it's not for movement. And that actually becomes a problem when you're just talking to people in real life and people cannot like read your face. And also in Hollywood and acting, which I think is really interesting because Hollywood is actually rebelling against the frozen face. So, acting depends on extreme subtle movement. So suppressed smile, a moment of fear. And when those tiny movements disappear, performances can start to feel flat. So actually a lot of casting directors have been talking about this openly. A survey from Backstage Magazine found that 67% of casting professionals prefer actors with minimal or no cosmetic procedures. And now some casting calls specifically request natural skin and full face expression. So you guys, do you think I should start auditioning for different roles? Because I feel like I have a lot of movement on my face. And also some actors have said, heavy injectables lifted their range of expression during auditions and others have, and also stopping treatments have helped their careers. One director reportedly said, I don't need perfection. I need humanity. Okay, but I want to talk about the normalization of injectables because you guys know I'm in the skincare industry, I'm in the beauty industry, and I don't know why like 22-year-olds, 24-year-olds are starting baby Botox. So let's talk about the normalization of injectables. Something even more surprising has been happening. People are starting injectables earlier than ever before. Botox procedures among people aged 20 to 29 increased more than 28% over the last decade. And now derms have a name for it, which is called preventative Botox. The idea is simple. Start before they appear because you might prevent them from forming. I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like it's a scam. I don't know. I just don't think it's true. And I feel like there's so many influencers who look significantly older than they are. Like I know this really famous influencer. She's like 22 years old. I thought she was 45. And it's not because of any of the lines on her face. It's like her face just looks like a housewife. I can't pinpoint it. I'm not like a facial plastic surgeon, but there's people who look significantly older than they are, even though they have no lines on their face. Okay. So, the funny thing is that algorithms reward exaggerated facial features that look good on camera. And I can also say that as somebody who's in this business and runs a lot of ads and looks at the algorithms, having a unique look and having that like Instagram face, I feel like you would perform better on social media, right? A survey from the American Academy of Plastic Surgery found that 72% of surgeons reported patients bringing filtered selfies as references for procedures. So nobody even looks like themselves. Now they're bringing in inspo from people who don't even look like themselves. So everyone tries to look the same and everyone is looking the same. Okay, so let me tell you about my story. So I have not, you can see like I feel like I'm an anomaly because I have not had injectables except for one time over like 18 years ago where I tried it for my acne scars and it actually made my scars worse because they all moved. So I never did it ever since then because I realized like the fillers like to migrate my face, right? So I've never done it. So I have a lot of lines and it's kind of crazy for me because personally I had this like 20-year mental health therapy journey of learning how to accept my acne and my acne scars, right? And I still have a lot of visible acne scarring and I've just learned how to accept it. And it's not something I'm trying to get rid of because I just know that I don't want to spend like $10,000 to make my skin 1% better. I feel like it's kind of at that point where it's going to be as good as it can be without doing something really, really intense, right? And I've already like learned how to accept my skin and like be confident with all the flaws. But now it's like this whole nother beast where I have to learn how to be confident, even though I'm aging and I work in the beauty industry, and I'm just around a lot of people who have no lines on their face and no texture and everything. And I feel like, oh my God, if I have a beauty brand, will people like I don't fit the conventional beauty mold, right? Like if my face is not frozen, I don't fit the conventional beauty mold. I still have respect and authority in this industry, right? If I look so different. So yeah, as I'm nearing 40, it's like a whole nother conversation. And right now I'm not going to get injectables, and I'm going to wait for a really long time, because I also don't believe in the rhetoric that you need to freeze a part of your face in order to like prevent things from happening. I feel like when you freeze a part of your face, other muscles will compensate for it. I don't think it's as easy as people make it seem. I feel like med spas, and I feel like a lot of injectors and a lot of people are pushed to sell you packages, because I know I'm in this business. I know how it works, right? And so I would rather look like me and look old and my age than not look like me and look frozen, if that makes sense, right? So yeah, I just haven't like done it. Will I ever do it? I might, but I think if I were to do anything, probably in like my 50s, I would do a facelift, a face and neck lift. Like I think that's the route I would go. I probably am not about like freezing my face, because I don't know. I don't like the look of that versus like a facelift or whatever. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, I just think it's just really crazy how the med spa industry has boomed. Private equity has completely changed the aesthetics landscape. And now everyone looks the same and people have frozen faces. And it's just crazy how people are bringing in photos to plastic surgeons of people who don't even look like themselves. And you guys, I can guarantee, I truly believe, with the advent of AI and like AI avatars and all that, lines on faces and texture and skin is going to be so valuable. Like it's going to perform even higher. Like, because this kind of stuff, can't be AI defined. I don't know. Could it be AI? It could. Like, but to have that like real human skin texture and for it to be displayed on camera, I think is going to be money in the future. So yes, people with acne scars, we're going to be rich. We're going to be rich in the age of social media, because that's not something AI can replicate very well. Okay, so thanks for watching, everybody. I am going to try to do some like commentary on trends and things that I see happening now, because it is crazy, this industry. Crazy. Okay, love you. Bye.